Salutations everybody, it is Maddie here today with a Fallout 76 news update. Now when Bethesda normally patches Fallout 76 and we see the Inside the Vault series, it's normally known to mention bug fixes, stomping out glitches, and ridding a game of the horrors that came with its launch. But this time on Inside the Vault, we're learning about a brand new mode being added to Fallout 76, and I thought this was interesting to cover because it signifies a step forward for a game that really struggled at launch, and that may be putting it lightly. I like the Inside the Vault series because it's a good framework for a game that when it's getting content and weekly updates, we can stay connected with the developers and give our thoughts on a week-to-week basis. However, right now, the Inside the Vault series really serves as saying we have more fixes coming, and they're normally announcements of announcements. So this turns out to be the first time we're getting something that is tangible that we can really talk about and dive into the actual future of Fallout 76 and its content outside of just fixing the game. The link to this Inside the Vault article will be in the description down below. Now, let's read. After hitting play from the main menu, you'll be able to choose whether you'd like to play Adventure Mode, which is Fallout 76 as you know it today, or the new Survival Mode. The same quests, events, and story that you're used to in Adventure Mode will all remain available in Survival, but you'll have to navigate them under the ever-looming threat of hostile dwellers who may be hiding just around the corner. You're free to create new characters for Survival Mode and encouraged to do so, but you can also use your existing ones. If you do take on Survival Mode with an existing character, keep in mind that all your progress from Adventure Mode will travel with you, and anything that affects your character in one game mode will also affect them in the other. That means that if you fire off all your ammo, level up, complete a quest, spend caps, or find a fancy new weapon in Survival, this will also be reflected on that character in Adventure. If you'd rather keep your existing characters as they are, we recommend starting a new one when you head into the more challenging Survival Mode. So we'll stop there. Number one, I'm very happy that they're adding this type of Survival Mode to the game. There have been multiple videos in the past that I've said, add a PvP mode in this game that removes all restrictions and lets you just interact with people in the world. It makes team play fun because you can turn into raiders and attack players all around the world. And it also makes the solo play fun because there is that additional tension. Bethesda does have some anti-griefing methods that they are putting into place for this new mode that I'll get into in a little bit. But for now, I like how they're not limiting one character to one mode or the other, and you're able to easily switch between the two. I think that's a really important addition to the game that folks will really overlook. Because if you build one character and then you switch over to survival and you're always locked into that, you may A, regret that choice, or B, sometimes you don't feel like dealing with other people's shit and you just want to go ahead into adventure mode where there are restrictions and people can still bug you, but not nearly as much. Survival mode is not for the faint of heart. All players except your teammates or event group mates are automatically flagged as hostile toward one another by default. There are no invitations to PvP combat in survival mode. You can attack other players without restriction from the first shot you line up, meaning every encounter you have with a stranger could turn deadly in the blink of an eye. Further, level scaling in survival mode will work the same as it does in adventure mode. This will help to level the playing field a bit and give newer characters a fighting chance against high-level players they might encounter during their adventures in the wasteland. As a result, you'll need to keep your wits about you during every hostile encounter because even low-level characters can pose a real threat. Alright, so this is where I do take a little bit of issue because I feel like if they're able to lock off PvP until level 5 in adventure mode, what's stopping them from keeping the survival mode locked off until maybe level 30, level 40, something along those lines? Because leveling up in Fallout 76 doesn't take too long. So what's stopping them from keeping us locked off from survival mode until we're a certain level? So I don't have to bump into a level 5 and he's as strong as me who's maybe put 100 hours into the game, right? On the plus side, it does add tension because everyone's a threat. But on the other end, I feel like because I put time into the game, I collected this loot, I built my character, I got this cool armor that is strong, I should be rewarded for my efforts and not be stomped out by Mr. Level 5 with a 10mm pistol and still wearing his vault jumpsuit. I feel like this is something that could be patched in down the line, but I also feel that Bethesda wants this mode to be accessible off the bat because Fallout 76 got off on the wrong foot, I guess we'll say, and so chances are they want people to engage with this new content as much as possible. So I don't see them changing that personally, but I would love for them to do so that we can actually have PvP encounters with higher level players and also experienced players, because if you're playing for the first time, you really shouldn't want to hop into survival mode and just get dusted right away. I feel like that should be a process that you want to work towards. However, there are people who don't own Fallout 76, many people, and maybe they'll see this mode and say, you know what, now I want to pick the game up and I want to get into that mode. So they don't want to play 40 hours of the mode that they don't like to get into the mode they like. So that's the other thing. It's kind of checks and balance here. As this will be our first implementation of survival mode, we plan to experiment with different rules after beta's release, such as death mechanics. Currently, players who die in survival mode will be unable to use the Seek Revenge spawn option against their aggressors and can only choose to respawn at their camp or Vault 76. We're also planning to award you double the caps when you kill another player, and they may drop their aid or other items in addition to their junk. Added risks and rewards like these in survival mode PvP will make each of your deaths more devastating and every kill you rack up much more lucrative. However, it's important to note that these changes aren't set in stone and we'll be looking to make adjustments based on playtesting and your feedback during the survival beta. It's also worth noting that the players who are currently in adventure mode worlds are completely separate from those in survival mode, so you won't need to worry about survival players coming for your aid items or double cap rewards when you're in adventure mode. I like how they're not keeping this stuff set in stone and they want to hear the feedback first before putting it into play. Personally, what they have there, I like. It's a survival mode. It's supposed to be a little more tougher, and I think if we're constantly engaging with players and that there's going to be more encounters and those encounters can be deadly, that the risks should be higher and the chance to gain in turn will also increase. So I like the idea of aid items dropping. I mean, he'll clear out a lot of my inventory. I got like 40 pounds taken up just by purified water. So someone will be doing me a favor by killing me in survival mode. But anyway, I really like what they're doing with balancing this out personally. I have to get my hands on it. I have to try it out. I like what they're building towards here, but I have a little more to say, so let's just finish up this article and I'll get into that afterwards. Leaderboards. For those of you who are focused on the new mode's more competitive aspects, we're also planning to roll out in-game leaderboards with the start of survival mode beta. You'll be able to see how you stack up against your friends and others in your current world, so you'll need to stay sharp if you want to stay on top. We'll have much more to share about leaderboards and all the stats you'll be able to keep tabs on during each play session as we get closer to the survival beta. Looking further ahead, we're going to continue to evolve, improve, and add content to survival mode with future updates throughout the year, and your feedback will be incredibly helpful as we make it the most fun and challenging Fallout PvP experience we can. Our hope is to roll out the survival beta in March. However, we still have a lot more work to do on leaderboards and other features and may need more development time for testing. Stay tuned for more information on that exact timing and even more in-depth look at survival mode as we get closer to release. I think it's really safe to assume that leaderboards aren't going to be put there just for survival mode. It seems Bethesda's heading in the PvP direction with this game. Now, we did see some leaks on PvE content, like folks getting inside the vaults and seeing what was in there. So Bethesda is going to add quests and new places to explore. But it seems like in the terms of major content drops, leaderboards, survival beta, PvP is the focus there. And so I imagine down the line, they've talked about it before launch, I feel they're going to eventually add a team deathmatch mode. Some data miners had discovered some team deathmatch text inside there. PvP is clearly the focus, and I don't think that vibes too much with the core audience that is Fallout fans. I think the survival mode is a good step forward, but I feel like if leaderboards are being added, it signifies their focus at the moment, which is adding those types of deathmatch game modes. And I feel like Fallout fans, because they are Fallout fans, connect more with PvE content, questing, new locations to explore, not just in West Virginia, but outside of there. I'd love to see Bethesda make some headway on there. It's been just over 2 months since the game launched, so there is only so much we can realistically expect, but like I said, I like to put my feedback in now, so down the line, hopefully Bethesda can consider it, as I am a voice in their community, and I know a lot of you do share my sentiment on that. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm happy that they are adding to the PvP experience, because if the base game told us anything, it was a poorly done balance act between trying to always do PvE and PvP content. They were really trying to appease both sides of the audience, the core fans who love Fallout for what it was, and the new fans coming in who are willing to see it evolve, try something really different, and also give Fallout Online a whirl. So Bethesda was trying to do questing, storytelling, at the same time as adding events, PvP that was really janky. It just didn't work. But as they tried to expand the game more, I see them leaning right now more towards PvP, and I would love for them to balance it out and say, like, here's some more storytelling things we're doing, because that was one of the game's major issues outside of performance, was that the storytelling was not good. The writing was not good. So I was kind of surprised, even though I like the mode, that they are actually choosing to address a PvP thing before working on what they are supposed to specialize as usually single-player RPG developers, which is storytelling, interesting characters, cool encounters in the world. Like I've said in multiple videos before, they're sort of having the Battlefront 2 effect because of the launch being so poor. A lot of initial plans got pushed back, or maybe we would have already seen a survival beta, but because they had to fix the game so much, now that's gotten delayed 2 months. Still, I think for Fallout 76 fans who are sticking with the game and enjoying what's there, this is nothing but great news. I think those who are looking for the game to bounce back, this is a step in the right direction in some ways. At the end of the day, this fixes what was a problem with the game, which was encounters with players not being intense. So I consider it a step in the right direction. But on the other end, the much bigger problems that were there are yet to be fully addressed. So I'm curious to see what Bethesda does with those. And with that, I conclude my thoughts on this news update about the survival mode being added to Fallout 76. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this in the comments down below. I hope you guys like this new camera angle, because I've had this shelf in front of me for a while where I've had a Dragon Ball Fighter statue and actually the Fallout 4 Pip-Boy, which you can see is pretty dusty, just sitting there. And I realized, hey, that's eye level, and I could just set my camera up there sometimes if I want to flip it on and chat with you all. So I hope you guys like this angle. Let me know if I should continue to use it. Sometimes it's easier than putting it on the tripod, micing up and everything. Sometimes it's nice just to flip on the camera while the brain's going and just talk to you all. So let me know as we continue to adjust here as well. And I'm looking forward to your thoughts in the comments down below. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook. Those links are in the description down below, along with my Patreon. Do consider supporting that, as it fuels all the content I create here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.